Hey guys, and welcome to my tutorial, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change colors in a granny square. So I have a few samples here. I've posted this video already with the interesting granny square center. Don't panic if you don't know how to do this. These are just the samples that I've gotten on hand. And as you can see, I start with the purple and move on to the blue, and then I go back to the purple. And if you look on the back here and in the front, you can't see where I've switched colors at. All of the strings are hidden and it's a very seamless transition. Same with this one, another one where we've switched colors in the middle of a row instead of on the sides of a row like this one. So we're going to be starting with something a lot more basic, something like this, but these were just the two that I had on hand, so don't panic that we're not going to be doing anything this advanced today. So to get started, go ahead and grab your small granny square or whatever size that you have of your one color. And the way that I like to do it is, let me grab my blue really quick and I'll do a row and show you where I usually switch colors. And I apologize that I have this very ugly band-aid on. I cut myself at the tip of my finger while I was at work yesterday cutting tomatoes, and it's not really going to be good to have a big gash in my finger while I'm crocheting with yarn. So I apologize, but that's going to have to stay there. So what I'm going to do, I'll crochet around this once to make it one row bigger, and then I will show you how to attach colors. While I'm crocheting quickly here, I almost forgot to mention the materials that you will need for this. I'm going to be showing you a few different methods for how to weave in your ends and switch colors. So you can grab any size yarn that you want, any color. It's just a practice, it does not matter. Any size crochet hook as well. I am using a size G, as I always do. You're going to need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn, and you're also going to need a darning needle for one of the methods, which you don't need if you don't want to try the method, but if you would like to try it at least, you're going to need one of those as well. So I'm almost around the corner here, and I will be back when I am ready to show you how to switch colors. Alright, so I've made my granny square one row bigger. So I am at what I call the turning corner. Some people will call it the starting corner because it is technically the corner that you start at when you start your granny square to go on to the next row. So to change colors, I'm going to finish off my cluster of 3 double crochet, a chain 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch in between the two and finish off as normal. So normal granny square so far, just finished it like that. The way that I change colors is I chain 1 and I cut the yarn about that far and I pull, because that way my yarn is knotted and I know that it's not going to come undone. Then I take this excess and I kind of just weave it into the 2 stitches that are right next to it. So weave it through this one, weave it through that one, and then I weave it back through, go in, and weave it back through once more. I usually leave my yarn tail in the back because then people won't see it as much when I cut it. And then I just get as close to the bottom as I can and cut. And as you can see, it is a fairly seamless transition. You can't see anything on the back. If I mix it up here, you won't even know which side I started at. They all look exactly the same, which is what you want for a granny square. So that is how one method of hiding your yarn tails. I will show you a few more as we go along. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my second color yarn here, and I will be right back. So I'm going to go with this nice purple here. Again, colors don't matter. This is just a practice. So now what I'm going to do, you can really start at any corner that you want. I prefer to start at the one that I ended on, but you can start on any of the corners. I'll show you another method where you change in the middle of the row, but for this method, the general normal granny square, you always change colors at the corner, and it is always the beginning corner, the starting corner, the turning corner, whatever you want to call it, that's where you usually change your colors. So, the way to attach. Really simple method of attaching. I'm going to insert my hook into that corner there, wrap my yarn around, and pull through just like that. And then what I do is I make a knot like this, and I try to get as little of the yarn as I can here. So as you can see, I have a big knot here started just so that I can easily push the yarn through, but I'm only going to let a very small amount actually go through, and then I'm going to pull on this string so that I have very, very little excess. Some people, when they do theirs, they have a large amount of excess so that they can sew it back into the work. I prefer to have as little as possible. So now I'm going to go into the granny square, that corner there, pull my yarn through, and then I'm going to take this little bit that we have left, and I'm going to push it over to this side. Then I'm going to crochet right over it, push it to the other side, and do my chain 3. Now as you can see, the yarn is completely hidden away and you don't see it at all. So now I can go on and do my 2 double crochet, and as you can see, the yarn pokes out of the back ever so slightly, but because I've already started my other stitches, I can go ahead and cut that off with no problems of it coming undone because it's already woven through. So, seamless transition number 1. Just like that. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to crochet 1 row around in the purple, and I will show you the second method for attaching your yarn. In this one, you're going to need a darning needle. Okay, I just finished my row of purple and I have my darning needle here. I'm going to go ahead and finish this last stitch and then I'll show you how to use this. If you've just started out and you don't have a darning needle and you don't even know what that is, I will link a post below where I talk about all different types of darning needles and embroidery needles and all different types of needles that you can use to crochet. So as you can see, my darning needle here is a little slanted at the end to help it get easier into the stitches, and it has a big eye at the end so that I can easily push my crochet yarn through it. Like I said, if you don't have one of these and you want to look at different types and comparisons and get a recommendations of which ones are my favorite, I will link the post down below. You can go ahead and check it out, along with all the other crochet tools that I have linked onto my blog. So, what I'm going to do is, again, with this method, chaining 1, because that way it creates the knot for me so that I don't have to, because when I slip it through, it does it for me. Because usually, if you don't do the crochet, if you don't do the chain 1 when you're done, you will have to cut the yarn and try to get a knot in here using this small string, and then you're going to have to try and push it directly down to the bottom so that it gets as tight as possible to the bottom of your crochet project, and it's just a lot more of a hassle. So if you chain 1 and you just pull a string through, it knots it for you right at the bottom. It's nice and tight, you know it won't come out. So with this method, you want to cut your string a little bit longer, probably even longer than I did, honestly. You want to cut your string a little bit longer so that you can actually use your needle. And the way that I thread my needle to make it the easiest is I pinch the yarn in my fingers here. I give the end a little twist, and as you can see, I've pinched just barely enough of the string. And then I'm going to shove it through the end Sometimes when you do that, you only get a couple of the strands, so that just means that you need to pinch it a little bit tighter. Do it a time or two. This string is super frayed, so it makes it a little bit harder, but when you push it through, hopefully you can get every single tiny strand in there, and just like that. Usually it's easier, but this yarn is old and it's fraying, so there. That's how you thread the needle. And like I said, the bigger eye helps so that the yarn can go through a little bit easier. So I don't think I made mine long enough, so definitely I would recommend you making yours long enough, because as you can see, I can't even get my needle in there. But there is a way to fix this. So what we're going to do is basically the exact same thing that we did with the crochet hook, but we're just going to do it with a needle. So I'm going to shove my needle through the top of those stitches, and then I'm going to thread it, because I don't have to worry about losing my yarn if my needle is already where I need it to go. As you can see, that time was easier. So now I can push the yarn through, thread the needle here again through that hole, and then thread it through the excess yarn. So that's a tip if you accidentally make your string too small, where you can't actually get it sewn. You can just stick the needle where it needs to go and then thread it and make it a little bit easier on yourself. And if you made it longer, you can always sew there we go. You can always sew it through the back here in the middle of the stitches, stuff like that. You can even just use your crochet hook. There's a bunch of different ways that you can hide your excess string. I know a lot of people prefer to sew theirs in at the end. Some of us like to crochet them in as we go. And it really depends. There is no wrong way to crochet or how to sew in your ends or whatever. It really is all up to you. So the result is always the same. It is beautiful work, and of course, if you need to, you can always cut it smaller at the end. But as you can see, seamless transition, beautiful work. Doesn't matter how you do it. Now, the next thing that I'd like to show you is how to change colors seamlessly when you're switching them in the middle of a row. So as you can see, this is fairly seamless. We have a little bit of show, but it's at the back, and I am not too picky about what the back looks like. It is all about what the front looks like. So I'm going to show you how to do this method next. So the way that we attach our yarn, I'm going to go back to my blue here. The way that we attach our yarn, just as before, in the corner, and start crocheting as normal. I usually, like I said, crochet my ends in. You could also make these beginning ends longer and crochet or stitch them into here as you go. Completely and totally up to your own preference and what you prefer. I know a lot of people hate sewing in their ends when they're done with the project, so this might be an easier and quicker method for you to fix your ends. So I'm just going to do 2 here, and then we're going to switch over to the purple. Alright, so I've got 2 stitches. So what I'm going to do here is there's a few different ways you can do this. There's millions of different ways that you can crochet. You could start this method here if you want, or you can chain 2, and we're going to keep our blue attached this time. Now we're going to grab our second color, purple, whatever it is you've grabbed, and I am going to put this purple yarn through the blue and tie it, just as I would as if I was switching colors at a corner. Going to tie it. I'm going to make this one a little bigger so that I can sew it in the end, and then I'm going to take this yarn and the purple yarn and hold it where it is, and then I'm going to pull the blue. The reason I'm holding the purple yarn is when I pull the blue, if I had left the purple yarn where it was, up at the top here, when I pull the blue, it's going to get the purple in the way, and I'm still going to have way too big of a loop around my hook to actually crochet. So if you hold this and pull the blue, it'll pull the purple out of the way and give you a perfect loop for your hook. Since we're done with the blue, I'm going to keep it attached, but I'm going to drop it in the back. But I still may have to hold it just so that it stays the same size that I want it. Hold it there, it might be a little bit easier. Now I'm going to push that yarn out of the way, and I'm going to wrap the purple around my hook and start crocheting as normal. Now I see I have the purple and the blue. I'm going to go through both of them. And as you can see, by doing that, I have nothing but purple on my hook now. And I have the blue attached in the chain 2, and I have it attached here in the purple. Now, it may look a little silly to do it this way here, but as you can see in my heart granny square, which by the way, the tutorial for this is on my YouTube channel, and the tutorial for this one as well is also on my YouTube channel if you're interested in checking out how to do these right before Valentine's Day. But by the time this video comes up, it may be after Valentine's Day. I'm not sure. Either way, as you can see, this is the exact method. If you watch the video, you'll see this is the exact method that I use for changing colors in the middle of the row. As you can see, it's basically seamless. You can still see, of course, a little bit of the red poking through, but you can always fix that and be a little bit more careful than I was. It was just a tutorial, so you can be a little bit more careful than I was and go through and always hide the extra red. But I mean, obviously, you're going to see a little bit because the chain 2 is going to be red. So the other method you could do, as I said, that may or may not fix it. I didn't try it, so I can't say, but it might fix it, so let's try it here. So the other method that may fix that little bit of red poking through, or your second color poking through, is if you... Okay, so really quick thing here, switching gears. So unfortunately, something happened to the last part of the recording. I don't really know what. Unfortunately, I have a very dysfunctional way of recording. I don't have a whole lot of space on my phone, so a lot of things I record in 2 to 3 small segments and have to transfer them from my phone onto my computer. And a lot of times, honestly, pretty much almost every single video that I've ever uploaded on my YouTube channel has been recorded that way. And a lot of times I lose segments almost every single video, and I have to end up re-recording them. This is one of those segments, so I'm going to continue the stitch. I don't have the granny square that I was practicing on, but I do have this one that I've started again so that I could show you the very last stitch that we were on. And I know I'm going to be using this blue just as I was in the last video. It doesn't match, but you know, like I said, I lost the video and I don't have the granny square unfortunately anymore either. Sorry about that, but it's going to be the same stitch anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So let's get started back again with this stitch. I left off with the 3 stitches here, and what I'm going to be doing, instead of chaining 2 and then attaching my yarn, I'm going to be attaching my yarn right here. It's going to be the same method for attaching, and just like last time, I'm going to be leaving a little bit of an extra tail than I normally would, and I'm going to be holding the blue and pulling on this string here to get the loop nice and snug on my hook, same as always. But now I'm going to be dropping my purple, and I'm going to be chaining 2 with my blue, and as you can see, after one single chain, I have dropped the purple off of my hook completely, and I am now only using the blue yarn. So I have successfully and seamlessly pretty much switched colors, and now I can keep going in the middle of the row. So if you remember last time, I did the two chains with the purple, but you could see under the stitches the second color poking through. This one, the purple is still there, but it is less there than it was before, so you may prefer to do this method of switching colors in the middle of the row than the other one. Unfortunately, I have no way of knowing what I said in the last video, but I'm pretty sure that that was all that I had left. I'm pretty sure that was the last stitch. So thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the confusion, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Everything, you know the drill. Check out my blog, all that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.